That's what it was, yeah. Well, you weren't too far off. You weren't so off, yeah. But no, some of that, some of those, that corporate structure is something that's very important when it comes to restaurants that are a business. First and foremost, they are a business. I know as chefs, we want to put out, all of our artistic touches and all, play around with our food and have people like it. But at the end of the day, it is still a business. But, I pretty much was grinding away in kitchens. I've had 4 back surgeries just from the wear and tear of the industry. Yeah, really good golfer. No, absolutely bad. Now my swing's even worse. So, but I've had 4 back surgeries. Those kind of put me out of the industry for a while. But I just kept coming back. And after my second back surgery, my wife said no more restaurants. So then I started, she told me I should teach. So then I started teaching at at a cooking school that was down in DTC. And that's where I met Diego Coconati, who was teaching there as well. And I'll tell you what, this guy was a riot in the kitchen. Because, some of this, he's just a fun dude. And I'll have him come over here to just speak into the microphone a little bit, because he just has such an exotic way about him. But he's like, I don't know. He's a middle-aged man stuck in an 18-year-old mentality, and I love it. I love it. And so one thing led to another, and we developed Create Kitchen and Bar, which my wife came up with the name, just kind of like create your own meal, create your good times, And that opened up at the Salem Marketplace in 2018. And then obviously we had a great first year, and then the pandemic of 2020 hit. The Rona came to attack us all.
That was fun.
That was fun, and still is fun. Oh yeah,
everything.
Well, exactly, and considering that the Create was very highly social environment where you got to cook and eat and drink and just. I mean, Kev, you took a class over the winter this past year, I believe. Yeah, and it's that. So think about how highly social that was. So we had to cut all that off, and we switched to virtual platform, which was fun. But then we started doing pop-up restaurant events where Diego and I would cook for our guests, and it was just ticketed events. And then one thing led to another, and we had somebody tap us on the shoulder and say, "Hey, where can we get this food all the time?" I'm like, "Oh, you're getting it right now. Please enjoy." And they're like, "No. Where can we get this food?" So, like I said, one thing led to another, and here we are. We opened up March of 2022, so at the end of March 2022, so it was a fun time.
It seems like they've got a process in place. Everyone's smiling, everything's running efficiently as people come on the turntables. But you also have a kick-ass out there that stock the bar. Do you have a secret that you can tell everybody how the fuck you do it?
A secret? It's not so much a secret. I mean, the industry's been calling for it. Just treat us like people. That's pretty much it. So, we have. I know you can see. You're looking at Henry right now. He's very engaged with our guests, and Derek is as well. And you can see some of our servers walking by, Billy and Dewey out there. Yeah, it is. But I mean, here's the secret. It's food, it's beverage, it's service. I know it was written somewhere, but if we focus on those 3 things, that's all it should be. No, I'm not trying to, at least. I mean, you can't have a bad time when you're sitting at a dinner table full of food.
Right.
You can't have a bad time when you're sitting at a dinner table full of food and drinks and people that you want to be around. So let's let the staff, let the team be part of that, part of that experience too. So, I mean, that's pretty much it.
I got to agree with you on that, but if Aunt Karen shows up, it could be a difficult decision at the dinner table.
Obviously, it's our first time coming in, but we want to get to know you. Also, Dank has eats. How did we come up with this menu? Is it all flavors that you channel from your order? Or how exactly did you find it?
Well, I think that kind of leads into the same question of how Lucina came to be. So at first, it probably would have been Lucina, because we were so. First off, I'm I can make pasta. I'm a really good pasta maker. I've just been making Italian food for the past 20 years, actually. I've been doing this for 20 years. And I'm really good at Italian sauces and noodles and things like that. And Diego, him being from Argentina, moved to Puerto Rico, moved to Miami. He's always been eclectic in that, like Latin American, like Argentinian food, Puerto Rican food, Cuban food, things like that. Now, growing up, my mom's Mexican, my dad's Bolivian. We had neighbors that were Puerto Rican as well. We had neighbors that were very Chicano and Mexican. We had neighbors that were even Argentinian as well. It was just very loud in our upbringing. But those were our backyard barbecues. And I remember one of our chef friends who came to one of those dinners that we did, the pop-up restaurant events, were like, hey, that rice and beans dish you did with the sweet plantains? I was like, yeah. And they're like, can we get some more of that? He's like, oh, and, we were thinking like, yeah, sure, we'll, make it for you. But that's just like our home food, like something I would just make at home just to feel good. And he's like, no, I don't think you understand. Like, put it on a menu. So we were thinking we were going to be another restaurant with burrata or pizzas or whatever. And then we just had enough people kind of poking at us to say, do your food.
And also,
No, of course not. Yeah, I'll take it anytime. Thank you. Sure.
You're
absolutely.
You're also filling an important kind of space in the Denver restaurant scene, because I don't know many places where I can go and get yuca fries or, like you said, sweet plantains, things like that. Like, that's not common on a lot of menus, and I don't think a lot of people here in Denver necessarily are like, oh, I've had plantains before,
sure,
things like that.
Right.
So, I can imagine you guys cooking them, somebody tasting them being like, what the fuck is this?
Well, and at first, before we even developed the menu, we were just writing down everything that we enjoyed, whether it be through our travels, growing up, that one thing that one guy brought over that one time,
Yeah.
And we just leaned right into it. We're like, okay, I've been Italian trained, French trained for 20 years, whatever. Let's go back to our roots and what comes up naturally. So one of the first things that Diego made me was his churrasco with papas and chimichurri. And it was actually at his wedding, or not his wedding, I'm sorry, his sister's wedding that we were catering. And before we even opened up, and he was just making chimichurri. And I'm like, all right, you go get drunk with the family, you focus on the chimichurri. And I always tell him, too, it's a 3-day chimichurri, because he was like, he would just leave piles of parsley halfway chopped up, because they were busy getting drunk, obviously. It's just, I was like, just go have fun, I'll finish it. But I'll tell you what, that chimichurri is one of the best ones, and you're going to try it here tonight, too. One of the best things you'll ever have in your mouth. Just beef, chimichurri, and that's it. Like, give me that. And there's no cilantro, and there's no lime in it. There's no all this other stuff. It should be 6 ingredients. It should just be, garlic, onion, red chili flake, vinegar, olive oil, parsley. That's it. That's all it should be.
That's so
good. And he found the perfect balance for it. And so, again, one thing led to another, and we're like, all right, let's go back to our roots. So we're exploring all the Latin Americas and the Latin Caribbean, and just kind of telling a quick little, culinary story of how Spanish food came to be after they came to the New World. So before that, they wouldn't have had potatoes, corn, chocolate, chili peppers, squashes, all that fun stuff.
So you're talking about bringing back your favorites that
sure,
you love. What was your favorite home cooked meal as a kid? What was your favorite barbecue thing?
So you're going to try a couple of things today too, including but not limited to my mother's mole. Now usually it was a braised chicken dish in the mole, right?
Yeah.
I decided to go ahead and make this one vegan, and using her touches. Now she'll tell you too, that's not my mole. Like her mole, right? Not Lucina's mole. But I watched her make it for the past, 35 plus years. And when the day I asked her for a recipe, that's the worst mole I've ever had. But the day I just decided to just watch her and her methods and the way she did it, that's when it turned into a really good mole. So I'm going to share that with you. And also too, take for example, this aguachile that you're trying out. That base that we use, it's just raw ingredients that we have in a little container that we grind up in the molcajete, hit it with a lot of lime and acid and salt, and then throw the seafood in there. And ceviche should be this fresh. It should just be a quick 3 to 5 minute cure. It shouldn't be this thing that's being held overnight or anything like that. So you'll see, I don't think you'll ever have something this vibrant and vegetal, while at the same time being super fresh to the bite. That fish is buttery.
Yeah.
That one's super nice. Also the arroz con gris with maduros every Latin nation has their own version of it. Yeah.
I was wondering about that dish because it was calling my name at the happy hour, and I was like, I love all of those things, and it's kind of like a hodgepodge.
Yeah.
Like just a fork.
Yeah.
You got mashed potatoes and English beans and a little bit
Yeah.
of bread. That's what y'all got.
Right.
It's just y'all's version.
Absolutely.
Fucking dig it.
Yeah, it's like red beans and rice, right? Like you go to the south, you would get some red beans and rice. It's that type of feeling that you're getting, but a little bit more in the tropical sense. And it's got different names. It's arroz con frijoles. It's arroz y habichuelas in Puerto Rico, arroz con gris in most of the country. So, and it's fun to see like when we do have Latin American visitors. They're like they point at their plate with a fork and they're like, "This is." I'm like, "I know." And they're like,
Yeah.
"I had this." I'm like, "I know. You had it growing up," and it's really fun to see that expression on their face. So that's why I love it so much. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're doing great work here. I'm stoked. I mean, honestly, I'm on the other side of the city, but I'm glad that I came over here. And no matter what part of the community or metro you're looking from, I can't implore you enough to come over here and check out Lucina. Before we leave, Chef, I have a couple questions we like to ask all of our guests. There's a Stoned Appetit question of the week.
All right.
It's brought to you by Seed and Smith Dark Cod. They have them available all across the metro, but you can get them both at their locations. Just like you can get this great food out here in Parkhill. You can get that camp on Oakland Street in Commerce City or up on Headford Way in Lewiston. The question is, let's say you had a long day. The wife's home, everybody's cool, as a cucumber, you're cooking the sausage. You had to open and close. What is that one snack that you can rely on at the house that you can enjoy before you call it a night and put your feet up in bed?
Depends on my mood,
Okay.
but it's usually one of three things. Okay? Hot Cheetos, just like always. Actually, Hot Cheetos is always, not really even a big. Yeah, that's just like. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich, hands down, with an ice cold glass of milk.
Crunchy or creamy peanut butter?
Creamy. Okay. Let's be humans about this. That's great, but I don't think you need that type of texture. Just like toasted bread if you want something crunchy. That's what I say.
Okay, that's
me.
fair enough. To each their own.
That's it. Are you both crunchy people?
Yeah.
Wow, I've never had two people at one table. What is this about?
If you would have said you like the peanut butter jelly mix, then we would have had big
No,
problems. But
absolutely.
I'm okay
not
with
a
the
monster.
creamy.
No, I'm not a
Yeah.
monster. Oh my gosh, I remember that. Yes. And then the third thing would definitely be just a nice cold bowl of cereal with. I keep a pack of blueberries frozen. It keeps my milk cold. That's just a pro tip for you guys. Keeps your milk ice cold for that second bowl that you get. With the leftover milk, it's perfect. So it's either Honey Nut Cheerios, Chex, or Life. One of those three.
No, and they pair well with the frozen blueberries.
Yes, they damn do.
I've never.
There you go. That works too, except that gets mushy after a while. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
But the blueberries are always a nice touch. Plus, you can always add banana soup with the blueberries. It's really nice. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm talking. Oh, it is. And you make sure you get the biggest fucking bowl you can find.
That's like the person that split. That's like the knowledge that they dropped when they split the ice thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All that time you wasted gripping your teeth.
Interesting. Well, there's some Mexican versions called bolis that have the split down the middle, but they're round. Those are round instead of like the sticks. It still equally cuts the gums. Yeah. It still does that. Yeah. I like orange. What? Denise and I? See, I don't know. Orange is
What color?
orange.
Gross.
So what'd you say? Starbucks?
Starburst.
Oh, Starburst. I'm like, I haven't been to Starbucks in forever.
Psycho.
Starburst. I think everyone's going to go for pink on this one. I mean, I think. Now you do orange too? Yeah. Oh, you do
That's
yellow.
so gross.
Isn't that banana? Oh, it's lemon. Why is orange last?
Because it's inferior. It's only good when it's mixed with tequila.
And if you go, but if you go tropical, it's like the purple.